back to the first day of Super Week, and as you can see, I've got the handsome Jason here with me as he's going to read through your tweets with me. Of course, we asked you which European LCS team will be most affected by the new patch and why. And our first tweet is from @IllusionLeak. He says, I believe that it will be EG. They were never the ones that had an easy time adapting to new changes, yet 2 wins here already.
But I have to really agree with that, though. I mean, we saw them back when the season 3 started. They had a really tough time adapting to what came at them. They weren't used to the jungle, as Snoopy, kind of said quite a bit. But you're right. I mean, they've been able to pick up a lot of wins lately. They've been really controlling what they need to do, and it seems like it hasn't hurt them too much.
No. The second tweet is from @BeatsNix13. I think Alternate will be affected because the tankier towers may help stop their early aggression.
Yeah, we saw that today versus SK in that bottom lane, ganking Kevin on that Zac. Went for it, ended up dying for it instead, or ended up running away from it. But yeah, it's a little bit tricky. Diving the turrets when you can't really take them down is easy. If you make a little bit of a mistake, it's going to punish you really bad.
Yeah, we saw that with the Jax just now as well.
Yes, we did.
Third tweet is from @ExonEU. I think Lemon Dogs will be affected by patch 3.10 the most because their playstyle is about roaming and taking those early objectives.
Yeah, I mean, it works in their favor. I mean, the longer they're in that laning phase, the more chances Nukeduck has to roam around the map, pick up kills. Did that earlier on today, worked out well for them. And if it keeps going like that, if they have the ability to keep doing that and they don't ward against it, then Lemon Dogs are going to keep winning.
Yes, and then the next one is from @Mr. Tifu or Mrs. Tifu. Gambit has an edge because of dragons being more important than turrets before the 8-minute mark. They love those early dragons, much like the Targaryens.
I'm trying to think what the exact time was of the earliest dragon they've ever done. It was like 3 minutes and 40 seconds or 4 minutes with them flashing over the wall. Yeah, so they take dragons as much as possible. They really control the game from there. Fortunately, they didn't do it today against Meteor Makers, but still, they're a team that even if they want to dive you, even if they want to push against you, they're going to do it when they want to. They're not going to do it any time earlier. So when they go for it and push for it, you know they're coming at you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then our last tweet is from @PintalksPro. SK Gaming is used to winning the lanes, but sometimes they struggle in the team fights. So the extended laning phase may be beneficial for them.
Yeah, we've seen SK have a tough time closing games. Even Offset's mentioned it like multiple times past that 40-minute mark. They don't know exactly where to go. So longer laning phase gives them a little bit more of an advantage, a little bit more of a gold lead early on. Carry that into the mid game, into the late game, hopefully pick it up a win for themselves.
Yeah, and we're going to see SK Gaming in action here in a couple of minutes. But for now, congratulations to the winners. Thank you, Jason, for your comments. Of course, the winners have won a G400S gaming mouse by Logitech, and we will also be contacting the winners via Twitter. Now, Super Week is a huge event for all the teams, but for SK, it is do or die. We talked to Nif and Ocelot about what it's like to play with your back against a wall.
They get it! SK Gaming have taken down Lemon Dogs, and it was such an important victory there. Nexus going very low, Jarvan spawned, but SK Gaming able to finish off before EG spawn back into the game.
The victories last time were super important for us, because without them we would be probably pretty much out of the league.
First of all, Lemon Dogs, because they were 3-0, and being 3-1 against them is really good. And second of all, against EG, we're actually fighting with them to see who goes to playoffs. And having a 2-2 is perfect. If we would have lost this game against EG, we would have been totally out of the season. So we are in.
Of course, you always check how many games are left and how many wins you need to pass through, or at least to make it to the playoffs.
If Super Week is successful, we're going to be in playoffs. If it's not, or if it's average, we're not going to be in playoffs. So it's really up to us. It's really up to our training. It's really up to the luck in a way too. And it's up to our mindset too.
Every time you lose, you worry a bit more.
Okay, we might be out. But if we think we might be out, then we're going to be out for sure, because we're going to be so defensive. We're going to play defensive champions. We're going to play passive. Right now, the best thing for us is that we actually understood that we have to play aggressive and we have to be totally offensive to get those victories come.
You have to play until the end, and then it decides who will go through and who not. So we still have a chance, and everything depends on the Super Week.
Over the paper, we are more under pressure, obviously, because we got less points than them, than the opponents. But in this case, I don't think it's like that. I don't think we are just as pressured, because our mindset is in the right place. And I think the opponent teams, EG, Given Gambit, and NIP, are a bit more pressured than us.
How the ranking is right now doesn't really matter much. It's still everything open, everything can change.
In my whole career in esports, we had these moments where everything gets decided in a win or loss. If you win, you're in. If you lose, you're out. And luckily, most of the times, we're pretty successful when it came down to that. So there is something I always tell to myself in the bad moments, and I tell to my teammates as well when it's needed, which is you can only be a winner if you can stand up after falling.
Fighting words from SK Gaming. As you can see, they're all set up here to dive into their game versus Fnatic. So let's head back over to D-Man and Quickshot for the game.
Thank you, Shock. So coming up, as you just saw, it is going to be SK versus Fnatic. El Clasico, so many times we've referred to it, no matter where they are in the standings. Both of these teams always have an army of fans, and they love to see this matchup.
Yeah, SK and Fnatic, they always put on a good show, and today should be no different, especially after how well SK played. I'm extremely excited to see if they can do that again against Fnatic, who were a little shaky, but I think the composition had more to do with it.
So let's check out the lineups, of course. These rosters, you guys know them. You guys love them. It is going to be Kevin in that top lane, Hercubot in the jungle, Ocelot in the mid lane, Candy Panda as the AD carry, and Nif as support for SK Gaming.
And Fnatic for another time on the red side, so as in the top lane, Cyanide in the jungle, Xpeke in the mid lane with Pushu, and Yellowstar as your AD carry and support.
But before we get going, let's see how you guys at home have been voting on LolEsports.com.
69% of you think that Fnatic will actually pick up a victory here. So going with a traditional favorite. However, in this split, SK has had Fnatic's number. SK is actually going into this with a head-to-head advantage.
Yeah, it's a big, big difference. Of course, you can get over to LolEsports.com and vote for the rest of the Super Week's matches and check out the VODs, the stats, everything that gets updated on there for a pretty much all of the summer split as well as the North American. You can get over there. So much stacked on there, so much information. SK Gaming, though, they are coming off a great win earlier today. And as a confidence team, we'll be looking to keep the ball rolling in this game.
Yeah, they picked a team fight composition against Alternate, and they simply didn't allow their opponents to get into a position where Alternate could push SK around. SK always stayed grouped up. They forced fights. They pushed objectives. And more importantly, they consistently won each and every engagement against Alternate, and that's what allowed them to pick up that victory.
Yeah, meanwhile, Fnatic, though, on the other side, they're coming off a loss earlier today, and that double AD comp, it just did not work for them.
Yeah, basically, Lemondogs just took control of the game very early on, and they never gave Fnatic a chance to get back into it. The Lemondogs composition, they won their lanes, they won the mid game, they weren't afraid to push towers or push dragons, and more importantly, when they had the lead, they landed the charms and they dived as well. We've seen that elastic slingshot onto towers a couple of times between the 15 and 25-minute mark.
So as we mentioned, Fnatic, they did beat SK on day one of the season, but since then, SK Gaming have actually turned it around and beat them the last two times they've played, and it's a big difference for those guys.
It is a very big difference, especially when you consider the historical numbers. I think it was like 21 and 0 or something up until that victory.
19 and 0.
19 and 0. Close enough. But, you know, before that in the spring split, like we said, Fnatic beat SK all 4 times they met, and their rosters are more or less intact. There's been some shuffles and some changes, but SK and Fnatic, they do have an incredible, incredible history that we've been talking about. They're 2 of the oldest names in European esports as far as, you know, just brands go. And we talked about the history. 20 losses up until that week 3 victory or whatever it was where SK managed to secure a win.
And as we mentioned, they've both got legions of fans. Every time there's a vote, they're always up high figures. And of course, who are you waiting to see this one, especially because of how important every win is at this point? And, you know, we just saw EG picking on that win, saw how much pressure it relieved on them. And right now, Fnatic, they can try and secure a spot at the top. They lost to Lemondogs, but that second place is still within their grasp.
Yeah, so they need to get 3 and 2 in order to basically guarantee this spot. And they can play for second place, but it's dependent on, you know, some of the other teams, as is everything in this thing. And like you said, SK have a little bit more of an uphill battle. They can still make playoffs if they win the rest of their games. Just 1 loss is enough to force a tiebreaker match between SK Gaming and whoever else will be in that 6th place. More than 1 loss means their season is over. They're in 7th place, and they go into relegation.
So picks and bans are about to get underway. What are we expecting banned out here? What are we expecting to see? Because earlier on, Hercubot, the man on the left of your screen there, his Lee Sin was fantastic earlier on. Kevin, he played amazing earlier on. Ocelot played brilliantly early on. The whole of SK played brilliantly earlier on. There's so many champions in there that could get banned against them that I'm not too sure which way they're going to go. Candy Panda's Twitch was fantastic.
It's a very, very difficult thing to actually talk about. And as you're talking about his Twitch, it has actually been removed. I don't know if Fnatic are going to warrant a Lee Sin or a Karthus ban. I don't know if they're going to feel that Hercubot's and Ocelot's performance was powerful enough to warrant removing that. I think Shen would be a ban for either of these two teams. Alternatively, it may be a priority pick, obviously with the exception of Elise, who we know Soaz is a big fan of.
Well, Kennen being banned away from Fnatic this time around. Interesting that they've gone with that way.
Well, we've seen Soaz and Peke both playing Kennen throughout the course of the split. 6 times for Soaz. Peke's played it a number of times as well. I distinctly remember him playing it against Alexic's Zed as well, sort of a counter pick. So it's not too surprising, and it fits the current sort of AP meta that we see going on all over the place.
Well, Fresh being the final ban, so what will be the first pick? It's going to be Shen.
So it does mean Elise is open, and I think Soaz is probably going to lock this one in. That will be my gut instinct. As far as what else is available, you've still got those globals. We've noticed that the only Twisted Fate that's been played in EU was by Alex earlier in the day, and it's just the amount of pressure that pick a card time variable has now removed means that you can't just zone somebody else for 10 full seconds when you prime that gold card. But I think Fnatic may still consider it. Because there's a Shen in SK's side, they may need some global presence, and Twisted Fate may be the champion for Peke.
Look at that. Lee Sin locked instantly, and Candy Panda pulling out Ash. Old school Candy Panda right now.
I think that also means that SK are going to be thinking about the Zyra pickup. Because you've got the Fiddlesticks on the other side, that makes me think Yellow Star's going to be playing that as a support role. We're going to see that Ashe Zyra that we've been seeing SK running for the last 2 weeks, that we've seen Cloud9 running for several weeks beforehand. And it's a composition that has worked very well for them in the past.
Yeah, it's something that Korea used probably about a year ago, I would say, and it worked to great effect right there. Aatrox, though, is a champion that's been very successful so far in the European LCS, certainly in Super Week. Varus has been locked in, and there is Aatrox. This time around, where is Aatrox going?
It's between the top lane and the jungle. Now, Soaz and Cyanide are both very versatile players. They both do very well in their positions, and we've seen Aatrox being played in the jungle. We've seen him being played in the top lane. So that's my gut instinct. I think we're going to see him in the top lane. Maybe if they're going to go 2v1, I'd have no idea, actually. It could fit both roles really, really well. But the main thing is that you've got a lot of damage from every single one of the sources here from Fnatic, and a little bit more utility on the side there of SK Gaming.
If Karthus gets locked in, it worked very well for Ocelot earlier on in the day, but he's picking it, or we believe he's picking it blind into that mid lane. He could potentially be up against... Could be Aatrox mid. I mean, we've seen him playing Caitlyn earlier on the mid, so we know idea which way Peke's going to go with this one.
Peke could also play Zed, and Zed would do very well. You can kill Zyra, Ashe, Karthus very, very quickly, and early on he'll be able to, kill Lee Sin as well. So that is a possibility. SK is going with a very, very similar composition to what they had earlier in the day. Nif landed a lot of roots that basically set up a lot of their other kills and their other options. So I definitely like that. There's even a Zac, which is still possible. So Peke could take Elise in the mid lane, which we've seen him doing before. He builds a lot of spell vamp and just chunks people down.
Whoa! Veigar! Holy cow, what has Peke pulled out here? He thinks he's Nijaki. That's it. I'm done.
Channeling his inner Nijaki, as it were. Now, Veigar against Karthus, right? That's a single combo, boom, that's going to be a dead Karthus, right? You can remove him from a fight. Importantly, you can put that Event Horizon down and zone control your opponents. And that will serve 2 purposes. Number 1, if you put the Event Horizon down, combo it with a Crow Storm and a Chain of Corruption, you have a very good offensive setup. However, if you see SK rolling at you fighting, you blow Karthus up quickly, put the Event Horizon down and back off, and then re-engage once the Karthus Death to Fight is gone. So I think it's a good pickup, but I have no idea how it's going to work out because we simply haven't seen Vigars in EU.
And just look how much crowd control Fnatic actually have. They can lock you up for a really long time. They've got the Cocoon, like you say, the Event Horizon, the Fears in there. Dark Passage could jump on towards them, use his Massacre. Chain of Corruption, there's just non-stop CC coming out from Fnatic.
It's CC from everywhere. I mean, even on the other side, Zyra, Ashe, Shen. I mean, that's a lot of area of effect crowd control that's going to be very, very difficult to deal with. We do see at the last couple seconds some swaps going around. So Soaz is going to take Elise in the top lane. It's a good matchup against Shen. He's going to have an advantage there if they go toe-to-toe, one-to-one. But Cyanide has picked up the Aatrox jungle. So we'll see how he does. We'll see how he performs. He's actually a little bit of an underrated jungler. He's sitting fairly high up as far as all of the assists are concerned, and his KDA is pretty good at about 4.6. But he hasn't necessarily been a game-changing carry, and that could be more due to the fact that Soaz and Peke steal all the sunshine.
Steal all the sunshine. He's not had the greatest of summer splits, though. That's what we were talking about earlier on. But we'll see how these lanes work out. You can see the teams ready and waiting to go. The focus on their faces. El Clasico. So many times these two teams have met across the 3-year history that they've had effectively in League of Legends. Meanwhile, we are going to have a pause. You can see it on the screen. So we're not going to get into the game just yet. But the pressure on these guys, and you heard it from Ocelot, you know, he's been on the winning side and the losing side of these big, important clutch situations. We've seen the tears at the Season 2 regional playoffs, of course, when they did manage to make it through there, and they would love to have that opportunity to just get in that position once again.
Yeah, they need to win a lot more games to put themselves in that position, and if they could pick up a win against Fnatic, who's sitting super high up the table right now, it's definitely going to play into their favor. Fnatic are sitting 13 wins, 11 losses, and, you know, SK mirrored that. They're 11 wins and 13 losses, so they could be within one game of a playoff position, as it were. Right now, back into the game, back into the matchup. It's SK versus Fnatic.
Yes, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. The blue team is SK Gaming on your screens, and of course there is Fnatic, the red teams. Yes, that is Veigar in the middle, the crazy little thing that he is. And I'm disappointed he didn't go for a skin.
Yeah, he really, really should have. There are some phenomenal ones. That's an evil yordle, I believe is the term you were looking for. But the one thing I want to highlight is Cyanide and Hercubot have both gone with a Doran's Blade start. And that generally means we're going to see some relatively low-level fights and low-level ganks. And we'll have to see who's going to pull them off more effectively, because both Aatrox and Lee Sin have the ability to dive into a lane at a very quick moment's notice and obviously set themselves up in a positive position. So SK, they're doing their regular 1-minute 5-man invade to get a ward down.
Well, it's no surprise to you guys at home that I'm a big fan of the early aggression, because I like to see the fights. That's what it's all about. But this is definitely aggressive stuff from SK Gaming. Probably the most aggressive we've seen so far today, but Fnatic are mirroring it in kind and going for the red buff for themselves. So that's a couple of wards placed out from SK Gaming to really coverage of that red buff. We'll see whether they actually make use of them or whether they simply use it to track the area that Cyanide is going to use, because he's an Aatrox jungle.
So SK walked straight over a ward. Fnatic were well aware of the positions of SK, and which is why they invaded and got some wards down fairly safely. They knew they weren't going to get caught out. The wards that SK have placed are a little bit non-traditional. You know, they're slightly offset as far as that red buff is concerned, and they may even be considering going for a steal or something similar. So we'll have to see how these next couple of minutes play out as those wards are still up and providing vision.
Well, it is going to be Hercubot starting off that red buff. And we do, of course, see the top lane will be a 2v1, which means this mid lane setup, Veigar versus Karthus, it's going to be a little bit of a problem for Peke early on, but I feel that he's going to do some serious damage to Ocelot if he can get his combo landed.
Yeah, he needs a couple of levels for that, and what we're going to have to do is keep an eye on Xpeke's Q, that baleful strike, because remember, every time he last hits with it, he's going to gain some additional ability power. And I'm very excited to see how he builds his Veigar. Knowing you get that non-costing ability power means he could invest some resources into earlier penetration or earlier tankiness. So we'll have to see how that works.
Cyanide is taking the red buff, of course, and he has just used his smite, so he's picked up the red buff. So, 2v1 lanes. Kevin, as we've seen Shen many times in this position, will be in that 2v1 lane. He's such a strong 2v1 lane.
Yeah, you know, at this stage in the LCS, absolutely everybody's well aware of how to deal with it. It's something that we've you know, become accustomed to. It's basically the standard. Unfortunately, we have missed First Blood down in the bottom lane, managing to catch Elise out. That was an Ignite that's gone down, and just a lot of damage, basically.
A lot of damage. The Zyra Ashe combo. There's no reason, no surprise, no shock that it is a strong combo. And it does, of course, mean that it's going to be a very quick kill for SK. They are actually putting the pressure on the bottom. We do see Cyanide's going to try and go back down there and cover it off. Meanwhile, Pushu, well, there's a pause.
Yeah, there is a brief pause at the moment. There appears to be a little bit of lag right now, so we'll see if we can resolve that issue as quickly as possible. And get confirmation on that, actually, before
it's the spectator machine.
Before I start talking.
I've already double-checked that one myself.
So we'll see how that pans out right now. As far as the early game goes, First Blood secured. It did go to the support, so it went into Nif's hands as opposed to Candy Panda's. If you're going to give up First Blood, that's one of the preferred ways to do it. Yes, it does mean the support can obviously pick up aura items a little earlier. but it also means that you don't give the gold to carries, to people that'll be killing you and dealing all that damage.
No, it seemed that it was actually Cyanide's mouse. It's like, yeah, no, it's working now. I mean, it's kind of an essential item, I feel, when you're playing a game in an esport, that the mouse actually works.
It's a bit of a prerequisite, I'm afraid. You kind of have to be able to left-click, right-click, and move the pointer around. Whether that's through the use of a trackball or a normal mouse like the rest of the world, hey, that's up to you and your preferences. We are back in game.
Indeed. So, we are just approaching the 4-minute mark. We're not seeing any 3v1 tower stacks this time around, which we have seen in the last couple of games, but we are going to see a great Shadow Dash. It does actually give a tower hit on towards Yellow Star, but that buys more time for Pushu. And he's keeping putting pressure on towards that tower. Still not working out too well.
Yeah, at this point in time, remember that remember at this point in time, it's the towers are a lot stronger. It is 4 minutes on the clock. The armor is slowly degrading, and until we hit that 8-minute mark, it's still going to be very difficult to kill those towers.
Right now we're seeing some bizarre stuff. Pushu's going to get caught out. Will it be enough to try and catch him down? Hercubot is going to try and get that kick in there. Will it be enough? Yes, he does land it. Will it be able to bounce him back? Not enough damage coming out from him, unfortunately. Pushu will back away from this one.
Hercubot landed the Sonic Wave into Yellow Star, so if any sort of nonsense had happened, he would have been able to jump onto him with those double buffs. In the mid lane, though, you can see Cyanide setting something up. Ocelot's been caught.
He's going to try and land that Dark Matter. Didn't quite get the damage down on towards Ocelot. And at the moment, he's staying fairly safe in that mid lane. We'll see how that one develops, because that is going to be a fight that, if it happens, it's going to happen quick.
Yeah, it's actually something that's very interesting, because Peke is playing Vigar, and I do tend to like seeing how he's leveling up his champion. On that Vigar at level 5, he's actually put 3 points into his Q, the Baleful Strike. So not going for the Dark Matter damage, and basically just trying to guarantee that his last hits will actually work, because Yellow Star's been taunted.
Yellow Star's going to get caught with a Shadow Dash. Hercubot comes back in. Is it going to be enough? No. They're going to turn it back around. Hail of Arrows comes out, pushing, forces them away again.
So another bit of, focus here from Hercubot. He's signaled his intentions incredibly clearly. He wants to pick up kills in the top lane. He wants to put Pushu and Yellow Star on the back foot. And it's sort of working right now as Cyanide has jumped in the bottom lane. He's been caught.
He is going to get caught out. Candy Panda's trying to put the damage back down on Soaz, though, trying to turn it back around. Repels no problem away from that one as they have a little moment of warping. Yes, guys, we are also seeing the same issue at the moment, so don't worry, it is being dealt with.
Yeah, we're hopefully going to resolve that as quick as we can. For the time being, we're just making do. Keep your close eye on, of course, the CS numbers in the bottom lane, bottom of your screen, and see how those are progressing. Hercubot, a little bit of a Superman move across the lane, once again visiting this top lane. He really wants to help Kevin get to level 6 as quickly as possible and try to keep Pushu, very much in the back foot, prevent that Varus from getting going.
It is, of course, only the spectator side as well. Don't worry, the players are perfectly fine right now. As it stands, though, it is interesting to see frame skips, I believe it is, effectively, we're seeing here. Peke got no mana at the moment, but then again, nor does Ocelot, so they're trying to keep it going. Meanwhile, down the bottom, Grasping Roots lands on Soaz. Soaz does back away from that one. A lethal combo. Soaz is needing a lot of support right now from Cyanide.
Yeah, it's something that we're seeing mirrored on both of the sides, and I just want to briefly remind everybody how Vigar works. His passive is basically a built-in Chalice of Harmony. He gets 1% additional mana regen for every 1% of his missing mana. And it's just something that'll help him out. So when you do see Vigar low, it won't be too long before he's got enough mana to cast a couple more spells.
Ocelot has got Requiem available, so we'll see whether any ganks start out now. Of course, if they do, he's going to be looking to try and land that, but he can get interrupted. He can get upset. Hercubot, though, he's looking for kills. If he goes up there, he's going to walk straight in towards Cyanide. Instead, the Cocoon lands on towards him. The Dark Passage jumping straight on towards him. They do manage to lock him down. There's going to be the ultimate coming out. Stand United from Kevin. Will force them back. Soaz caught out. Good Shadow Dash. Kevin catches on there. That was a flash Shadow Dash. Very nicely done.
Yeah, very well played. Hercubot actually missed the Sonic Wave. He was hoping to fly himself in and deliver Shem, but it didn't work out. Now look at Peke's positioning. He's managed to catch Hercubot. The stun lands.
The Dark... Oh, it's not enough. The Dark Matter didn't quite manage to do the damage, and Hercubot escapes with a sliver of life. They're actually thinking of going for Dragon there. Dutch managed to land it. He can use that safeguard. He's going to be able to tank this one up fine.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get a little bit of that lifesteal from his W up, sustain through this one, and SK Gaming, they secure the first Dragon of the game. Cyanide is trying to get himself in position. He manages to see it just go down. And another fairly early dragon, which is something we're seeing a lot more of, even in the NA games. With the stronger towers, teams are putting a lot more emphasis and focus on these pre-10-minute dragons.
Yeah, see, faster than early dragons. So SK Gaming with the advantage right now over Fnatic. So matchup, like we said, they've won 2 times already in the summer after breaking their duck. 19-0 they were for such a long period of history in League of Legends. But Fnatic, over the last summer split, despite having great results elsewhere, not being able to perform against Fnatic.
At this point in time, Fnatic, they're going to try balance out that dragon gold by taking the first tower of the game. She was left unattended in the top lane thanks to that Stand United. Remember, thanks to that gank, or that fight rather, in the river and the dragon pit. It does allow Fnatic to at least pick up the first objective, really. They don't have a kill on the board, they don't have a dragon, and obviously they've lost Soaz in both of their team's deaths.
And of course, with the fact that Soaz has died, it's actually kept Kevin ahead in CS, as well as the assist he's got. Ocelot is actually also out farming Peke so far, but he is a Karthus, so I guess you would kind of expect that. Karthus tends to be one of the big farming machines of the game. Candy Panda using that hawk shot just to check out the bushes. Like, no, we are safe. Nif go up and put that ward very high up in bush lane.
Yeah, especially at the lower levels. You know, Karthus is going to be able to use that lay waste, get the double damage down, and just farm up those minions a little bit more securely. Peck is also going to be a little bit more reliant on waiting for the cooldowns on his Baleful Strike. He wants to try and get as much ability power as quickly as is possible.
He missed the siege minion.
That's not cool. Why are you calling him out?
That was 40-odd gold he missed out on there.
That's really, really not cool. So Candy Panda missed the big siege
these
minion.
guys get paid to play. I can call this stuff out. Trust me. I get paid to tell it when they miss it, and they get paid to play. So it's what goes around comes around, or something like that. I'm not sure what comes around on me though. That's
yeah, we'll find out soon enough. I'm sure.
It seems.
We'll find out soon enough. I'm sure. As we hit the 10-minute mark, SK, Nif, and Candy Panda have replied in kind. They've secured themselves their first tower of the game, and thanks to the focus on champions and roaming a little bit, we've actually seen lower CS numbers in this game than we have been seeing elsewhere in the day's games.
Oh, he tried the Event Horizon catch on towards Ocelot. This time it didn't work out for him. But Candy Panda and Nif, they're continuing to push here. Soaz was lingering in that bush there, but look at this. We see Lee Sin in the form of Hercubot, who's been so majestic effectively the last few times. And actually, the last time these guys met, he also played Lee Sin. I think he went 2-0-9 in that game as well. So he's definitely worked out well. And Hercubot's Lee Sin, you gotta wonder, where's it been all season?
Yeah, and Hercubot plays...
the arrow landing on towards Soaz. They're gonna catch the crossman root and bag Strangle Thorns. He's dead before you even manage to speak.
More importantly, the tower is now under attack from Hercubot and Candy Panda. They're probably gonna get this tower down. Cyanide's come to defend, but another minion wave has just conga lined themselves up. Cyanide can't contest.
Can't contest, can't get near it. They would get caught with the grasping root of Nif. And again, it has worked so well for SK Gaming. That's their second tower of the game, and more importantly, it's an inner turret. The combo on Ocelot, not really doing a great deal because Ocelot's already been back. He's got himself that Negatron cloak. He was expecting that. And here comes the rest of their team. Catching on towards Peke, dives on towards the tower. Not going to go too deep, but they may be able to get that mid-turret.
Hercubot and SK were made a very clear statement there. They wanted the tower because Hercubot could have flash kicked Xpeke. He decided against it. Now they've got a 4-man stack. Yellow Star may be able to engage with a Flash Crow Storm, and we'll see how quickly this tower lasts.
SK Gaming doing a great job of locking him up as well. Cyanide taking very low. That turret's slowly being drawn down by SK Gaming. They're doing a fantastic job of pushing Fnatic back in every lane.
SK are currently 4,000 gold ahead, and Hercubot is even cheeky enough to smite the big Wraith away there from the camp. So he secures that one, gets himself some additional experience in gold, and Stand United is available. So yeah, this is a 4 versus 4, 4 versus 5, but Stand United will make it a fair 5v5 very quickly.
This is a massive gold advantage, actually, now that you mention it. This early in time, Crowstorm comes out from Yellow Star, but he's simply zoned out, and he's going to get locked up and taken down. There's another arrow. Candy Panda finishes him off.
So that didn't work very well.
No.
Yellow Star was late to the party. Unfortunately, he had an invite, but, you know, trying to be fashionably late.
There was no surprise.
And as soon as he landed, they pulled back at this kill. They've caught Karthus.
They do manage to finally get themselves a kill on the board. It's Ocelot that goes down. They should get a second, but here comes Requiem. Cyanide's going to go down, but his passive Bloodwell, will it bring him back in time? No, because it's a flash Shadow Dash. That's going to be a repel coming out. Soaz goes down. Cyanide did get away, though.
They trade 1-for-1, but they did get the Bloodwell down from Cyanide. So if they pick another fight, they'll be able to finish that one off. SK Gaming with a 5-1 kill lead, have a 5,000 gold lead, and the map is their oyster right now. But keep in mind, SK are going to play a little more passively until Kevin gets his Stand United back up.
I know Soaz is not feeling well right now. We've seen it on his Twitter, but when was the last time you saw him go 0-4-1? I do not remember
and on Elise.
Soaz losing a lane like that. On Elise, one of his favorite champions. It's not a good day for Fnatic so far. They are in desperate times against SK, who are already one victory up. Can they make it two? 5,000 gold lead just at the 13-minute mark. That is huge.
I need to highlight something about this matchup as well. If
the arrow's coming in. Is he going to land? No, he's not going to get the steal.
So it gets yellow star, but Hercubot is sniffing around. There's nobody close enough just yet. That would have been awesome if it worked. If SK Gaming are able to pick up a victory here against Fnatic, they go 3-1 up as far as the head-to-head records are concerned. And in tiebreaker scenarios, SK are placed above Fnatic. So please keep that in mind as we continue on with the Weekend Super Week.
And I just want to double-check that one. There is a tiny splash damage on that arrow.
Correct.
That can get the steal.
Splash damage and slow.
Because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of people who are going to go,
so,
but Demon, you can't do that.
No, you can. It is splash damage and slow. And I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I think the last time that it happened
I've seen a
on
Baron
stream was Season 1. I'm pretty confident in this one because I have seen it in a competitive League of Legends game. But right now, Dragons respawn. SK Gaming have got numbers advantage, position advantage, vision advantage, and they secure themselves a Dragon.
And a pretty big gold advantage to go with that as well. So, big advantages all around for SK Gaming. SK fans out there will be happy, and the Fnatic fans are going to be a little bit sad right now because, well, this could be 0-2, but let's not rule them out. We're only 14 minutes into this game. There's a hell of a long way to go just yet. We saw with Evil Geniuses, who were 5,000 gold lead, at around about the same time, managed to drag themselves back into it.
So the person that's going to pull Fnatic back into this game is Peke. Because he's playing Vigor, and Vigor has the ability to just insta-gib so many champions. He's going to be able to put himself in a position where he can just pop someone, peel away, and then re-engage. And that is where and how Fnatic come back into this. What we did notice on stream a second ago was that the blue buff was given to Candy Panda. So Ocelot is miles and miles away, and it was Candy Panda that secured SK Gaming's blue buff.
And of course, when Peke does get that kill, there'll be an evil laugh that would follow as well, as all great Vigars do. As it is though, we do see Fnatic putting pressure on towards this middle turret. This will be their second of the game if they can get it, but Candy Panda is there, clearing it out. Kevin was trying to sneak around the side. The ward placements did give his position away, which was why we're seeing Fnatic backing off. Hasn't quite got flash available. He's already done some great flash shadow dashes so far.
Yeah, it's something that SK have been doing very well in the first game and now in the second game. When they do pick a fight, they land the abilities that they need to, and they commit to the fight wholly. There's no hesitation, there's no worry or panic on their sides, and it's been working out well for them. Just as an update, Peke's Baleful Strike has garnered him plus 65 ability power at 0 cost at this stage in the game, and that's just going to grow further and further as we get into this match.
Yeah, he's effectively not got a great deal of ability power items just yet. He's just trying to stack out his items, so he's still trying to farm it up. Like you mentioned, it is the long game for Fnatic in this one. And it's going to have to be because SK Gaming have built themselves up a considerable lead right now. Hercubot, he's doing a fantastic job on Lee Sin. He's been creating opportunities as and where they work, but really it's all been about this duo pairing of Candy Panda and Nif. If you just look at the kills, you can see it's only 5 kills on the board, 104 for Candy Panda, and 203 for Candy Panda, 104 for Nif.
Yeah, and talking about Candy Panda in particular, whereas in the previous game, Evil Geniuses had a little bit of a comfort of if MYM wanted to engage, they had to run at them. SK Gaming have the opportunity to just throw an Ash Arrow out. If it lands, you follow that up with Zyra Roots. You then follow that up with Lee Sin and a Requiem to close it out. So there's a much safer, longer range engage opportunity that SK Gaming can throw down at basically any given time.
It pretty much is the best initiate of the game, the Enchanted Arrow. Certainly from long range it will set you up those kills, and at the moment Peke's got to be careful. He's keeping a wary distance, I think it's safe to say, from the combo in the mid lane at the moment. Making sure he doesn't get locked up. He tries to get that Event Horizon down, doesn't manage to land it.
Yeah, you can see Negatron Cloak already completed for Candy Panda. And against the Cocoon, the Fear, the stun, that's most likely going to be a Quicksilver Sash. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was a second item QSS. I think it would work very, very well in his favor. Hercubot single-handedly scaring away Pushu and Yellow Star. But to be fair, Kevin was at the tower a couple of feet behind him.
Yeah, that's bought them time and pressure, and they should be able to take down the final outer turret of the game that SK Gaming can put and pick up. So that will be 4 turrets, 2-1 for SK Gaming, unless Fnatic do offer some sort of response, which it doesn't look like they're going to.
Now, at this point in time, they can't really afford to. In addition, Peke, the burst damage he offers is just not there. And I think more important than the damage Viger's putting down is the zone control and the stun power of that event horizon. It's a very big damage piercing arrow, though, coming out of Pushu.
That piercing arrow definitely did a lot of damage. It was the Nif, though, who's probably the lowest hit point hero in the game. But all of the lanes have been pushed by SK Gaming right now. That mid lane is really the only one that's not driving forward. Peke still finally completed the Rod of Ages. He's trying to work out what he can do next. He may well catch on towards Nif here. Does manage to get the Dark Dark Matter down. That's the one I was after. Uses his ultimate on Ocelot, but again, the combo was split. Wasn't quite in the right place. Requiem's going to come down. Will it be enough? Yes, it will. Cyanide now. He's got his passive available. Will he be able to dive away from this one? We see that's going to be another kill. Yellowstar goes down. There's going to be the passive coming out from Cyanide. He does flash away and avoids it. Oh, the piercing arrow on Hercubot, nearly catching him out from Pushu. But no, Sawaz is in trouble. He's trying to get away. The Cocoon lands brilliantly. Is it going to be enough? The Shadow Dash was dodged, but it doesn't matter because Candy Panda with his Infinity Edge does the damage.
2 for 3 at the end of the day, and Hercubot was running interference. He was keeping Pushu away from that fight to allow SK Gaming to secure this tower. They're going to pick up the 5th tower of the game. Wall of Pain lands, look for the taunt.
Will it be enough? They do manage to get a lay waste on him, but Pushu's forced away from this one. They'd be better off just taking that turret down, but they don't think they're going to go for it. They're going diving to Candy Panda instead. Has to use that barrier to stand united from Kevin. Will get him away from it. Is it going to be enough, though? He's going to get slowed. Cyanide should be able to jump back on towards him. He's going to have to time it, and there's the flash to get him away.
So a little bit risky from SK Gaming. They wanted the kills. They pushed for the kills. They actually didn't get any, and then they didn't get the tower either. They should have stuck to that one. It actually looked like Cyanide, he switched between his Bloodthirst and Blood Price, anticipating a fight in the top lane. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to chase or lock anyone down after that Wall of Pain came out.
0-5-1. I still can't get over that for Soaz. He's definitely been punished in that lane, and he's not being allowed back into it. Just like we saw with Wicked in the early game by Meet Your Makers. He managed to sneak his way back into it, but Soaz, he's just being punished every time in lane.
And remember that this was a voluntary decision by Fnatic. They put their duo lane top, they put their solo lane at bottom, and Soaz on Elise has traditionally done very, very well against Shen top laners. But they decided not to put him in the 1v1 setup. They decided not to put him there, and unfortunately it's backfired. And think back a couple of weeks when Soaz was very outspoken about disliking 1v2 situations.
Yeah, expect a Facebook message to follow shortly, I'm sure. As it stands, though, the rest of SK Gaming are looking in a very strong situation here. 7,000 gold is the lead they have right now in the 20-minute mark, and that's pretty beefy. Looking across the board, you can see it's nearly a 2,000 gold advantage for Ocelot. Around about 1,600 actually, so let's be fair with that one. 1,300 for pretty much the junglers, but look at that, the top lane that we were just talking about, it is a 2,000 gold lead. It's a clear 2,000 gold lead as well, and the AD carries, it's 1,000 gold advantage for Candy Panda, 1,000 gold advantage for Nif as well, and this is another dragon being started out. This time though, SK not going to go for it because Fnatic are very close by.
Yeah, and SK were very, very split up. They had Ocelot down in the bottom lane, they had Kevin moving through the top lane river, so instead of risking being jumped on at a numbers disadvantage, they've decided to group up. So Ocelot did a good job of shoving that bottom lane down. He's hit the 200 CS mark very, very shortly after 20 minutes, and they're in a good position, especially if they want to challenge for this fight, because they're basically saying, you come fight us, deal with the Ash Arrow, deal with Zyra's crowd control, and then we'll see who's going to win the team fight.
There's a minion stack pushed in that bottom lane, and looks like Fnatic are going to try and take advantage and push in towards that middle turret, but they're playing a dangerous game because SK coming from the side. Remember that enchanted crystal arrow could land. It does get on towards Peke. Will Kevin get close enough? No, he gets locked down. And actually, there's a good chain of corruption as well. Yellowstar puts that surprise party out there. Chain of corruption does spread its way. Ocelot's going to try and get in there. He tries to get the Defile down. It's actually a very split fight. Nobody really landed any critical damage. There's a lot of ultimates been burnt from both sides. And still, it seems that SK Gaming have the advantage.
Both teams were managed to counter-engage absolutely perfectly. The Chain of Corruption locked everybody up. Event Horizon locked Kevin in place. It's not over yet as Kevin was thinking about it, decides to back away at the last couple seconds.
They're doing a good job at positioning and forcing Fnatic away from this mid lane. Push is the only man at the moment in that mid lane. That's going to be a great catch on towards Hercubot, but Kane, Lee Sins, you can't pin them down. He just safeguards the Nif.
Yeah, going to be able to just get out of that one relatively unscathed at the end of the day. But Fnatic, for the first time in a long time, secure themselves a global objective. That's their second tower of the game, but it still means that there are 7 8,000 gold behind SK Gaming at this point. SK going to secure that blue buff, this time going to Ocelot, as opposed to the previous time heading into Candy Panda's hands. And then they're looking pretty good right now. Quicksilver Sash has just been picked up for Candy Panda. That is a crucial, crucial pickup against incredibly hard CC of Fnatic.
And Kevin's completed that Spectre's Clown. That's going alongside that Sunfire. KP's going to be a split-pushing machine right now. And Kevin, he is Mr. Consistency for SK Gaming. I don't remember the last time he actually had a bad game.
No, nor do I. I was trying, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, well, he's had okay games, but he hasn't had very many 0-5-1 games. And, you know, at this point in time, SK have realized if we pick on Soaz, if we shut Soaz down early, we don't let Soaz become a playmaker, it has almost secured them this mid-game because they've been in very good control for the last 10 or so minutes. And Fnatic, they're still looking for that burst. We still haven't seen Peke get a full QWER combo onto a single target.
Well, Candy Panda's off at the side. We'll see whether that arrow lands and finds its target. Doesn't matter. The split push is on. Peke is having to deal with it, which means the rest of the team could make waves in the mid lane. They are trying to set out something in the jungle. Yellow Star is desperately trying to cover off the split between the two. They have positional coverage of Hercubot. They know that he's around that little bush area, and Fnatic with that piercing arrow, they can clear the waves quickly. We talked about this before with when Wicked was playing. Actually, they're going to dive in towards Ocelot, but that may be a mistake. The wall of pain goes down, and actually more damage went back up towards Cyanide than he put out to Ocelot.
Yeah, Ashe's Enchanted Crystal Arrow was still available as well, and I think once Cyanide realized that, he decided to back away. Kevin's playing a little more aggressive in the top lane. He's almost challenging Peke to throw the Event Horizon down because Hercubot's relatively close. And listen to those pings. Teams are looking for opportunities. They're trying to find ways to pick a fight, and the Crystal Arrow may be the start of one.
Well, they're buying time for Candy Panda to get some hits on towards that turret, as if he chooses to actually hit the thing in the first place. Instead, we do see Hercubot landing the Q on towards Cyanide, and again, they don't go for it. That piercing arrow is doing a great job of clearing it out. Kevin's been trying to split push the top, but all they're actually doing is beating Peke. Is passive.
Yeah, what we are seeing...
Not as passive, it's Q.
It's Q, yeah, the Baleful Strike. What we are seeing, though, is that SK are less afraid to push. You know, they've been on Fnatic's side of the map for, what, the last 4 minutes now? They've been looking for opportunities, waiting to find a way to either throw the ultimates down, try to catch somebody out, and that's what they need to be doing. They've got an 8,000 gold lead, and for the next 5 or 10 minutes, that's still going to be impactful. This is when they need to find those opportunities. It's these next 5 to 10 minutes where SK need to secure a bigger advantage or risk losing it.
I can't make out whether Candy Panda was meant to get that blue buff there. It didn't look like it. Ocelot had Defile and Lay Waste running. It seemed to me that he really wanted that blue buff, but instead the volley shot took it for Candy Panda nevertheless.
We just misinterpreted. Didn't prepare for how much damage was going to go down. A little tongue-tied there for a second, but we do see that with blue buff on, that's permanent frost arrows coming out of Candy Panda, so it's going to be even more difficult to chase. You know, the volley spam, and in addition to the on-hit slow, it just makes life very difficult for Elise and for Aatrox to actually close the gap.
It's interesting to see that Candy Panda did build that QSS up so early. We talked about how much crowd control that Fnatic did have. Made sense completely for that. Lay Waste does manage to catch Soaz out, and they put more damage down on towards that turret. Ever so slightly, they knock it down, but it's not doing a great deal of damage. They're kind of letting the minions do their job and keeping Kevin continuing split pushing the top.
Somebody needs to remind Candy Panda that if you right-click on a tower, it will deal damage to it. Volley will not affect a tower's HP, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see that as they get to this tower, this is the 3rd time in a row that Candy Panda's made it up to the range, and he's trying to zone out members of Fnatic. And yeah, fair enough, you've got blue buff, you can do that, but at the moment it's not helping them get it. The arrow gets sidestepped, and they've caught Peke.
They do manage to kick him back in there, flashes straight out of it and gets away with it. Very nicely done from Peke, sidestepping that turret as well. Sidestepping the arrow, Ocelot does manage to get caught in the Event Horizon. Have they got enough lay waste? No, they haven't, and Peke does manage to get away again. Very nicely played, but look at that turret in the top lane. It is taken very low, and they've obviously decided we're going to change our focus. 5 members get on towards this turret. They just need to hit the damn thing. That's all they got to do. Cyanide, though. Chain of Corruption whiffs. Nif's taken very low. He's going to get taken down here. There's going to be Peke dropped as well. Cyanide, but Bloodwell is going to get popped. Is he going to get taken down, though? There he is. The Requiem's going to finish him off. Pusher uses the barrier. No! He got away with it. Soaz, though, he's not going to get away. Or is he? He repels away. Tries to get back in there. Very nicely done. Kevin taken low. Candy Panda, volley shot. Oh, he gets away with it. He's going to get himself the turret. So many members of Fnatic blinking red right now, all getting away with next to no health. But nevertheless, it was a 2 for 3 to Fnatic. They lost the turret though.
2 for 3 trade, and if Ocelot had waited a tiny bit longer, that Requiem would have been a little bit more impactful. It was a bit of a sloppy engage from SK Gaming. They tried to force a fight, and Peke dodged every single key ability he needed to. Sidestepped the Crystal Arrow, flashed the taunt, and that bought him the time he needed for Fnatic to rally around him. So at the end of the day, they got the tower, which again is an advantage for SK Gaming. However, a little glimmer of hope if you're a Fnatic fan.
And a little glimmer of concern for SK Gaming as a team, because that didn't go as planned, I feel that. But nevertheless, they have an 8,000 gold lead. Fnatic trying to get the Dragon away here. Are SK going to spot this one out? They have put the ward out. They're going to see that quickly and clearly. And actually, Fnatic peeled away from Dragon. They didn't feel confident.
Yeah, they didn't have as much information to work with, so they had no idea who else was filtering into the river behind that Zyra and Lee Sin of Nif and Hercubot. So backed away, playing it safe. They've got some vision there until the second that Nif takes it out with his Oracle's Elixir. And all of a sudden, SK Gaming, they're setting themselves up for yet another Dragon.
Double plants go down, the rest of SK come around, and they will clear out the Dragon, like you say. They're taking full control of these map advantages, and that really stretches the lead to 9,000 gold now. Not something I expected to say in this. SK Gaming in full control over Fnatic for the 3rd time this season.
Remind me what the vote was. It was 61% or something similar like that, thinking that Fnatic were going to pick up a victory here. And you know what? If you go historically, if you think of the general season, I can sort of understand that. But SK today are just looking really, really good. Even that sloppy team fight, basically because some of the key abilities had missed and Peke dodged them, it's why that team fight was so messy. If they'd landed, it would have been a lot simpler, a lot cleaner for SK Gaming. But they committed to it, they stuck to it, and they still managed to make it work at the end of the day by getting the tower down.
Fnatic worrying a little, weren't sure whether SK were going for Baron. They have not a lot of coverage around there, and this is buying time for Kevin. Look at the split push going. He's actually going to be on towards that inhibitor turret if they don't deal with him soon. Ooh, Event Horizon very close to landing onto Nif there. Would have locked him up on that Baron. Actually may well have killed him with that Dark Matter combo as well. But look, Soaz has gone across to deal with Kevin, but honestly, I'm not too sure whether he can.
So we do see a lot of ability power and penetration for Soaz, but it's a lot of HP and magic resist to burn through. So we'll see how that matchup goes. I do feel like Kevin is a much stronger position, especially because he has the Ignite and Flash available maybe a little bit sooner than what Soaz does at this point in time. Keep an eye open for Candy Panda's Ash Arrows. The way they're poisoning themselves, they're looking to set something up.
Yeah, the plants were going down to try and gain a little bit of coverage. It will clear out that ward the moment he gets placed down there. Raid's being taken away. Kevin does decide to sidestep back though. He's going to take the blue buff instead.
Yeah, you know, at this point in time, Fnatic, they haven't had control of their buffs for 12 plus minutes now. You know, they've lost 2 or 3, 2 blue buffs in a row, but 1 or 2 red buffs, and it's basically just a really good position for SK Gaming to be in. And because of the advantage and the numbers that they've got and the vision control, they've actually started this Baron off. But Peke is aware of it. Dark Matter goes down, and immediately SK Gaming back off.
If SK were to win this one, it actually would take them within 1 game of Fnatic.
And they've got a head-to-head lead.
Of Fnatic, would you believe it? Yeah. Which who would be in 3rd place at the time?
Tower is going to go down if Candy Panda can stick or not. Instead, decides to back away. 1 or 2 more hits is up. Look for Cyanide to jump on top of him. Volley slows him. And once again, Crystal Arrow is available as Kevin continues a split push in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Soaz doesn't want to get too close to him, and they still don't take down that middle turret. But what I am impressed with is that SK have not fallen into the trap of trying to push for Baron right now, which they almost did earlier on today. Instead, they're continuing to keep the pressure on the lanes. They realize they have a big gold advantage. It's nearly 10,000 gold right now, so they can just keep pressuring those turrets. They will get them.
Yeah, the thing is they need to do it a little bit more concertedly. They need to do a little bit more like focused in these next few minutes, because that gold value will diminish the longer the game goes. We've seen it happen earlier today, and SK need to maintain advantage by taking more objectives. It took them about 7 minutes to get the top lane tower. Look at Peke's positioning. Yellow Star's on the side as well. He may start channeling the Crow Storm, and here they come!
They catch on towards Nif. He's going to be the focus target. They will try and get him down, but Cyanide's taken very low. Candy Panda off to the side. Bloodwell is going to get popped, and they will get away with that one. I can't believe they only managed to get Nif with their full combo right there. And SK, well, it was only 3 members, but they still managed to get themselves a kill.
Stand United was used on Nif to try and get him into the fight, but he was killed very quickly. Cleanse comes out, Pekka's in trouble.
Peke flashes the Shadow Dash, and Ocelot, Candy Panda trying to catch on towards him. Dark Passage will be enough. Sorry, Dark Matter. Too many Threshes, that's what I've seen.
All right, now we do see another tower in favor of SK Gaming, 6-2 as far as towers are concerned. And SK, at this point in time, are losing team fights, but winning objectives. You know, they lost a member in that previous fight, even though they got the Bloodwell popped, and they almost got Yellow Star, but they're managing to work out for them.
Did Candy Panda accidentally hit his QSS there?
It does look like it, but it's a relatively short cooldown. It's about a minute and a half. He was definitely glowing from the effects. So that's about 45 seconds, maybe. Either way, it'll be up soon enough.
He definitely did, but it's going to be up soon enough, like you say. So, tower went down. That's the main thing. That's the aim of what they were pushing for. And Fnatic, despite trying to go aggressive, all they could get out of it was a support. And, of course, the passive is what I meant from Cyanide, not an actual kill itself. So, Nif going out, getting himself the wards, feeling confident, in fact, that really there's no one from Fnatic anywhere near, so he's just quite happily clearing out the wards.
Yeah, they've got
get the one at the back.
They've got some vision there on the red buff area, and whenever you leave a ward standing, I like to think it's a decision. It's a conscious decision, because if you do leave it up, when you move in there with 2, 3, 4 members and you clear it out, it immediately plants the seed, hey, maybe they're doing Baron, maybe they're actually going for it. Whereas, if you kill it immediately, it kind of signals, look, we definitely are just counter-warding and de-warding right now.
We'll see whether it does work out that way. You see Peke off at the side. Look at Kevin making his way in towards that blue buff, hiding in the bushes just off the side, seeing if Yellow Star was going to take a step too far, but he didn't. He didn't go for it, and I tell you what, Peke is building up a lot of ability power right now. He's going to be able to one-shot people at some point. He's got that Deathfire Grasp, the Rod of Ages. Looks like Zonya's Hourglass will be the next focus target as well.
And he's only got 168 bonus ability power thanks to his Baleful Strike. I mean, that is an immense amount of bonus ability power that he has not spent a dime on.
That is over half his CS. He's actually managed to land with that Q.
Particularly impressive right now. So very, very well played. And it does mean that, once again, if he can get in range, he can instantly burst people down. What we have seen from SK, though, is that he tried, SK tried to focus Peke down in that top lane. They tried to stun him up and focus him out of a fight. And I think that SK feel Peke is more of a threat than the rest of the team because of the burst potential he offers. So we'll have to see how that works out.
Look at this bottom lane. Look at this bottom lane. They're being sneaky. Candy Panda's been holding at a distance while Kevin split pushes. They've been looking to try and set up some form of gank there. Candy Panda wants to create something. They're trying to bait. Surely not Soaz out again. I don't think he can die again. It'd be worst game on record for him if he does, but instead the Dragon is going to go down, and SK Gaming secure themselves yet more gold advantages. It's 11,000 now. That is the 5th Dragon of the game, and they've had complete control of that so far.
So SK Gaming are probably going to start setting up vision around the red buff area of Fnatic and then pulling them in for a team fight. If they can pull members of Fnatic out of their base, you can use the Crystal Arrow and the utility that Zyra offers to pick a good team fight, which will either get you an inhibitor or it will get you Baron Nashor. And I definitely think this is their focus. You can see they're moving as a unit, they're placing all of these wards down, and this is the next 2 minutes or so of gameplay will be SK trying to pull Fnatic towards him, trying to do that tug of war and saying, well, you either pull back or you give us Baron.
And wise choice from Ocelot to get that Banshee's Veil on him. Obviously wants to counter the fact that Peke will be almost certainly focused targeting him. This is going to keep him away, and this is going to be the Baron started off. There is that ward in the back though, so Fnatic will see it, but really not quite close enough to deal with this one.
I don't think Nif's walked in the back range. He may not have actually spotted that one, because remember that this is 3.10 with 2 patches after the site radius has been shrunk on that Oracle's Elixir. So Nif maybe sticking a little too shallow in the entry. Fnatic stacked up as a 5-man in the mid lane. Did he? Nif is going to have to back away because Fnatic has got a numbers advantage in the mid.
Well, they're going to keep pushing. Kevin is actually off to the side. Remember, he has Stan United if he's required to come in here. Fnatic trying to catch an advantage. They catch on to Peke, cleanses off that one. You can see the rest of SK coming in there. Event Horizon does manage to catch on. Kevin, no Stranglethorns will be enough. Pushu gets caught out. He gets taken down. It's Ocelot that picks up the kill. Now we're going to see them coming around the side. Can Kevin? Yes, he can. Flash taunts on towards Peke. Peke trying his best to get away from this one. But again, the Event Horizon gets down. Candy Panda picks up another kill. This time, Yellow Star goes down. Peke goes down. Hercubon picks up the kill there. Shadow Dash will be back up in a moment. Doesn't matter. That's the Cocoon. That's going to stop the attack dead.
Now there are minions coming up this lane lane with Candy Panda, so SK Gaming have the option here. What do they want? It looks like the tower and the inhibitor will be the focus. Then someone needs to deal with the top lane minions. There is a massive amount of them from Fnatic pushing the tower, and I imagine they'll roll around to Baron, because that is a very long death timer for both Peke, Pushu, and Yellowstar.
And that is going to be the inhibitor, the first one in the game. That's what SK were looking forward to. That's the fight they wanted. Ironically, it was Fnatic that brought it to them.
And it was actually a bit of a split attack from SK Gaming. They threw out the Crystal Arrow, managed to catch Peke, and even though he's got Cleanse, it wasn't enough because SK just continued chasing. A very good flash taunt from Kevin, locked up Peke for long enough for the rest of the team to get in place, and it's not over yet. Volley's going to go out in a second. Ash arrows are down. They're slowing Cyanide.
The basic attacks going out. It's like Candy Panda just couldn't be bothered to fight that one. He just sort of did a couple of attacks, and he should have, because Soaz gets down on Nif there. There's going to be a party coming out from Yellowstar. Kevin's stressfully trying to get away from this one. The volley from Candy Panda will be enough to slow them down. Oh, Cocoon didn't quite land max range, and SK have to back off.
SK are at danger of losing Baron, although they did enough damage to Fnatic to scare them backwards. And again, a questionable decision. They picked a fight that wasn't opportune, and even though they sort of stuck into it and got away mostly unscathed, they didn't need to be there. They didn't need to re-engage on Cyanide, and unfortunately it cost Nif his life.
So 5-0-5 Candy Panda, but questionable decision-making in that last fight. 5-1-2 though for Pushu. Not a bad advantage or kill ratio considering the position his team has been in for the whole game. He's been putting himself in great positions, finally got caught out in that last fight. So Candy Panda has got himself a Mercurial Scimitar now as well. It's an item that we're starting to see more and more as obviously builds up from that QSS and BF sword. Phantom Dancer to go with it. Hasn't got the last Whisper yet, which is probably what he needs next.
And the reason we're seeing more of it is because of the Aegis of Legion being removed, Runic Bulwark being removed from the game. So the magic resistance statistics that you need as an AD carry to deal with AP threats is going to come from individualized, personalized items, whether you go Banshee's Veil, GA, or in this case Mercurial. And the Mercurial doubles up because it's double AP of your Lee Sin Vigar and all of that CC. So it's the optimal choice for this particular matchup.
Kevin continuing that split push method that SK have been working for the last 40 minutes now as we do start stretching. 13,000 gold lead, 7-2 in turrets and 13-8 in kills. And Fnatic, they're not down and out just yet.
Dare I say it, SK Gaming is in the lead against Fnatic using the split push tactic, which they fell prey to countless times to this matchup. Yeah. It's something that Fnatic did so phenomenally well in the spring split, something that they haven't necessarily been as successful with in this split. And SK is just slowly grinding their way to the inhibitors, the remaining inhibitor turrets, and slowly strangling the life out of Fnatic.
And those Banshee's Veils stacking up. You can see Hercubot with one of his own now, making sure that nobody's a nice juicy target for Peke. And it does seem that the rest of Fnatic are simply in defensive farming turtle mode, but are they going to be too deep? Because look how many wards SK have out there. No coverage of this Baron for Fnatic. They have no idea it's happening, and they are not going to be able to defend it.
Yeah, this is theirs for sure. You know, Kevin's pulled away a couple of members of Fnatic. He's got Soe to deal with him the whole time. Baron just gets secured and locked down, and now is going to be the time when SK Gaming will be thinking about pushing either the top or the bottom lane, and I imagine they'll go top lane because of the immense amount of vision that they've got there. They're going to be able to just sit in lane and not worry about a flank, not worry about a Crow Storm from the side, because they see everything. I mean, that's the all-seeing eye. They've pulled some power from Saruman for the time being, and it's definitely going to work in their favor.
Well, we did see Kevin backing off. The rest of SK are going to back off. Everybody's buying their items. Time to see if they can make the final push, because SK Gaming have been in command of this game for the last 41 minutes. Well, that's a little unfair. Maybe we should say the last 30 minutes, because lane phase was kind of even.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, you know, once we started leaving the lane phase, SK Gaming just at a very slow canter were moving themselves further and further ahead. They've taken a million blue buffs and red buffs from Fnatic. I don't think Fnatic have been able to secure either of their respective buffs for the majority of this mid to late game period. Another dragon gets secured by SK. They're going to take another blue buff away. And it really is just a matter of time before SK decide to pick a fight under the tower. And as long as they land the arrow and kill somebody quickly, they can win the fight. If they don't instantly kill someone, Fnatic can turn it around and actually pick up kills of their own.
God only hope they do decide to pick a fight sometime shortly. And it looks like SK Gaming are finally going to push along that bottom lane. They have a huge advantage in this game. It's 15,000 gold. Look at Candy Panda. He's actually hitting the turret. He hasn't just volley shot it. Instead, Nif, though, getting caught out. Event Horizon, Dark Matter, and Piercing Arrow all combined didn't even take down Nif.
That could be a pause on this engagement. They're going to want Nif to heal up. He does have Baron buff, so he's healing relatively quickly, but he's still at 50% HP. Yellow Star's off on the side. Event Horizon doesn't catch anybody but a couple minions. And Candy Panda's just, he wants to get in range. They're shredding this tower slowly but surely. And if they manage to keep this up, they'll get it eventually.
They're saying, guys, we've got a big super minion stack coming through this mid lane. Inhibitor has respawned. We also have the top wave being pushed in separately by Kevin. And Hercubot's getting a couple of kicks down there. Needs to make sure he can safeguard away as and when he needs to. Does manage to get the kick down. There's the arrow. Goes on towards Peke. Actually gets cleansed off straight away as well. Kevin does come across in defensive formation, but they take down the inhibitor turret and go back to their split push.
Absolutely brilliant trade there in favor of SK Gaming. Managed to get the cleanse out of Peke for a very short cooldown in comparison of that enchanted crystal arrow. So we may see them hanging out just a little bit. Hercubot, he eats the ultimate from Peke. That wasn't even enough to burst him down, but he's particularly beefy and tanky. The rest of SK keep focusing this tower.
Dark Flight coming out from Cyanide. Is it going to be enough to lock him down? No. Ocelot putting damage down on towards him. Another Dark Matter comes down. Hercubot, of course, with that Banshee spell of his own. That is going to be the turret going down. And now Candy Panda will be working in with the rest of his team to put damage on towards the second inhibitor. The top lane as well is being left alone. Kevin has got free farming on towards that the inhibitor turret as well. So they are working every angle right now, SK.
Yeah, SK are in such a good position. They've pulled off every single member of Fnatic. So even if they drag this engagement out in this bottom lane, Kevin's going to get damage on the top lane tower. It's a matter of time before the next objective falls. An interesting note about that Baleful Strike, because it was used in the jungler, it's about 30 seconds left in the cooldown before it's available again. It's hitting for 1200 damage at base before your opponent's ability power is factored in.
The magic resistance factored in, yeah. Indeed, as it stands though, Kevin is continuing the split push. He's actually been drawing Yellow Star and Soaz up there. There's going to be another arrow. It catches on towards Peke this time. Will they kick him back far enough? The Stranglethorns is going to come down. He's going to bounce him. Peke will get caught out. He goes down. Cyanide gets the Bloodwell popped. He's going to come back up from this one. I don't think he's going to be able to escape it. He tries the Dark Flight away. Yes, he will get away. That's going to be the surprise party coming out. Push you on towards the fountain. Requiem comes down. It's another kill for Candy Panda. And this time, SK Gaming surely will be picking up their third win over Fnatic. I cannot believe how well SK Gaming have been playing today. They've come into this Super Week all guns blazing. They destroyed the opposition earlier on this morning, and they have destroyed Fnatic here once again. 45 minutes into the game, it's going to be SK Gaming that take another win over Fnatic.
Ladies and gentlemen, 3-1 in the head-to-head matchup. SK Gaming currently 2-0 in Super Week. Fnatic are 0-2. This moves SK Gaming to 12 wins, 13 losses, and moves Fnatic 13 wins and 12 losses. This is a brilliant position to be in if you are an SK fan. However, they still have a lot of work to do. They need to get 2 more victories.
And ironically, they're still in 7th place.
Yes.
They're still in 7th place. However, they are on the cusp of jumping straight in there because Fnatic, who are on 13-12, are actually in 3rd place. So you can see how tight it is right now in the European LCS. Everything to play for, and SK Gaming looking very, very good at the start of Super Week. They're 2-0. Can they go 5-0?
Candy Panda was 7-0-6 at the end of that game with Ashe. Karthus being played by Ocelot, 3-3-7. I think for games that are going to be coming up for the rest of the weekend, a Karthus ban is something that I would legitimately expect. Because remember, in this matchup, there was a Twitch and a Vayne ban. 2 of them targeted a Candy Panda, and he just went, fine, I'll do it on Ashe. Like,
well, yeah,
no worries,
and
bro.
they just pulled out the Ashe Zyra, which has worked so well for Cloud9 for the last 9 weeks. So it's no surprise that, sure enough, they pulled out another winning combo. And this SK actually have quite a good pool right now.
So the one thing that SK are doing very well that I think we haven't quite seen from too many other teams today is that their team fights have been very, very good. They've been very cohesive. I think EG would probably be the only other team I'd consider doing that well. Lemon Dogs weren't necessarily quite as hardly tested. But anyways, I'm waffling. I think that SK, they're committing to fights. Their communication seems to be good. And even when abilities miss, they're still sticking to the focus, the objective, and the target, and they're making it work for them.
And Hercubot, once again, 2-1-10. seems to be working very well for him on Lee Sin. Every time he creates advantages, creates situations, gets in there, gets the kick, gets an important target.
His Lee Sin was less impactful in this game than it was earlier in the day. However, it was still very, very good. He didn't tend to get caught out. He took a lot of damage at multiple times, but he wasn't killed. He wasn't out of position often. And again, like the previous team fight, he actually kicked the team fight on the top lane. He kicked Pushu into the team. On the inhibitor, he kicked Peke back into the team. His positional play and his timing on those Dragon Rage kicks have been absolutely brilliant.
And we should talk about Ocelot as well, because when he went 3-3-7, but the focus wasn't really on him this time. He was just effectively the passive farmer. And I can't go without noticing Cyanide. 007.
So there's two things, right? First of all, 007.
James Bond Cyanide.
Secret Agent Cyanide here. You know, doing very well. And again, sort of an unsung hero fanatic. There were two things that happened. Kevin had a very good game on Shen, even though the numbers aren't necessarily super favoring that. He went 3-1-8. But he was split pushing the whole time. He wasn't caught out. And because of the focus on Soaz early, Soaz couldn't duel him. Soaz couldn't fight him toe-to-toe. And Shen just kept squashing the spider over and over.
Absolutely, that spider was squashed, and SK managed to pick up themselves a win. We're going to go over towards the analysis desk, ladies and gentlemen. Who's standing by? It is going to be Joe and Jason, and they are joined by the very special guest from Evil Geniuses. It is Crepo.
Thanks a lot, guys. As you mentioned, a very special guest with us here, Crepo. Crepo, first of all, let's start right at the very beginning, and the picks in the band, specifically that Viger from Peke.
Yeah, there's a couple like peculiar things come out of pick and ban phase. Definitely the Veigar pick, as well as like the targeted Vayne and Twitch bans on Candy Panda, I believe, and he still whipped out the Ashe afterwards. Veigar, yeah, I think Peke picked it because his I think his Ahri was banned out, his Kennen was banned out. He could have gone for Orianna as well to take the Cardus matchup, but I believe they just wanted the Veigar to surprise SK, throw them off guard, because lately SK has been doing better against Fnatic than otherwise around. It's a really strong pick. Once you get to late game farm, that Veigar can just one-shot Cardus, and it actually, you can see the impact in the game because Cardus actually had to build really tanky. He went with Mercury Threads, a lot of ages into Rabadons, so that's less damage coming out from the Requiem. You could even see that one teamfight at top. Like, he was going, the Requiem was dropping on like 4 people, everybody's ready for like triple kill, and nothing happened because it's just not enough.
All right, let's go from there and talk about the laning phase, because you said this was a very, very key point of the game.
Yeah, I tuned into the match like early in the laning phase, and I just saw like, what the hell is going on? Why would he do these like matchups in 2v1s? I think SK won the mind games there because Fnatic predicted a Shen 1v2 bottom, I think, and then they sent their duel in top with Varus and Fiddlesticks. But Shen was actually still on the top lane, and it's really hard for them to lane against the Shen 1v2 that's backed up by a Lee Sin jungle, because if you get close to the tower, Shen will taunt on you, and then Lee Sin will come out of nowhere, dash to a creep, send out his Q, and just jump on you again. And it's really hard. You can flash it once, but then you die. It's the same. We played against SK once as well. They did the exact same thing. Shen taunts, you flash, you go back to the tower, he taunts again, you're dead. And at the other side of the map, then you have Elise, which is a really good matchup on any 1v1 in top lane, struggling against Ashe Zyra, which is really good poke, like really safe poke as well, really good tower push. So the lanes were definitely in the favor of SK, and then they controlled that really well. They won their 2v1 and their 1v2, and then they got the early Drakes, went into buff control, and really got a really sizable advantage early up till a certain point.
What do you think about the team fights coming in? Like you said, the Requiem from Karthus, there was that moment where we were thinking, oh, they're all going to be dead here, but actually no one really died up at the top there. And talk us through the team fights and the important parts and, you know, how it really developed from that lane phase.
It all depends where you fight. You saw that as well. SK had a really hard time pushing the towers of Fnatic, because every time they came close, they had to walk in range of a Veigar cage, and they could get turned around by Varus ulti, by Fiddle Fear. So that actually stalled out the game really, really long, and really. And aside from that, like, SK was a little scared from doing Baron at start, given like the past week events. So they had a really big lead. They didn't want to throw it away. They couldn't push Fnatic. Fnatic held really well. Varus was actually getting really farmed, so it was always a danger of the comeback.
Well, thanks a lot, Crepo. Sorry, Jason.
Oh, no.
Wait, go on. I'll let you have another question.
All right,
go on,
so
then.
You were talking to us about Baron specifically. SK took forever to take it, and you were mentioning something to us about Pink Wards versus Oracle at that time. Can you kind of go into that?
Yeah, at the time, they were contesting Baron. Nif was sitting on boots 1 with an Oracle, and he had the job to clean the entire jungle, ward it up on himself, and clean Baron pit. And every time they cleaned apart, went for Baron, Fnatic came from like another corner, found out, and they did it, stopped it, did it again, stopped it, did it again. basically maybe what they could have done better, like no critique here, but like I think they lacked some pink wards, like a pink ward in Baron Pit and a pink ward in one of the other brushes that allowed NIF to like reduce the area where you had to cover all the warding. And they needed more wards deep in the jungle. If you have deep wards really deep in the enemy jungle, you can see them coming from really far, and you can also push them out of the jungle and then collapse back into the Nashor, and then you have to be afraid from every brush. Instead of running to the Nashor and being afraid to be caught over the wall, they literally have to be afraid from every brush in the jungle. And eventually SK did that at the end, and that's once they took that Nashor, the curtain fell immediately.
Well, thanks a lot, Crepo. We're going to head over to Shox, who sat with an interview with Candy Panda.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, Candy Panda 2-0 today. A great start to the Super Weekend for you guys. And they banned out your Twitch and your Vayne. Must have felt good having 2 targeted bans. And why did you decide to go for the Ashe after that?
I feel like right now, Twitch and Vayne are the most powerful AD carries. And after that comes like Ashe, Caitlyn. But my Ashe is like the strongest champion. So I was kind of scared they would pick it away while banning Vayne and Twitch. So they have like no AD carry left. So I just picked her up quick and it went well.
So then eventually with that Ashe locked in, Ashe, no escape. Karth is also kind of a static champion, not really an escape. And then they picked the Veigar against that, which could have meant a lot of trouble, but still you were able to fight really good against it. How come?
I mean, the Veigar was last pick, so we couldn't really plan against it. That's why we had like Carlos and Ashe versus him. But I think Ocelot managed to get some lucky Qs in the lane. I think maybe X-Pick him mispositioned or something. I didn't follow that, but he kind of snowballed the lane in a way that it shouldn't have went, so we didn't have the Veigar problem.
Okay, and then also a very, very heavy focus on Soaz's Elise. Is that kind of what you thought? We have to contain that no matter what, then we'll have a much better chance of beating them?
I think the Soaz Elise was just like, he was mispositioned in the bot lane at level 1, and NIF managed to root him, and we just killed him from there, and from there on he was kind of screwed, so we just capitalized on his mistake.
And then going into the late game, of course, you always have to finish the game. And again, that kind of dancing around Baron, not really crept in again. How did you decide, okay, we're just going to have to finish it now?
I mean, as I said in the analyst desk, they had Veigar, so we couldn't really push the tower, and they had Varus too, who got all the kills, and his Q did like 800 damage or something. So basically what we had to do was to wait for Nashor till we are strong enough to kill the Nashor without going too low on HP. And also they pushed down mid lane in the late game, and we could arrow the Veigar, and we got the inhib out of that, which helped us to close out the game. But basically we just waited to be strong enough to do Nashor.
And to be sure, and then those arrows always on point of view, of course. And then tell me a little bit about the way you've experienced this season coming back into SK Gaming, playing with NIF again. Do you think that this is the strongest you've ever been as a bottom lane?
Yeah, I think we improved a lot. I mean, when I came back to SK, I started to play duo a lot with him, and I think it shows. And the strength we have is like, we can improve so easily because when we do something wrong or something goes wrong, we can just talk about it quickly because we have so much experience together. We know exactly what went wrong and we can just fix it easily. So coming back to SK playing with NIF is really great because we have a great synergy.
Yeah,
nice.
that really shows in that bottom lane. Then, of course, now you have MYM, Gambit, and NIP still coming up for you as games. Which of the teams are you most afraid of going into it and why? Or do you just think, nope, this is the road straight to 5-0?
I don't think we're afraid of any opponent, but we don't underestimate any opponent either. We just respect all of them, and we just try to beat them, go step by step. Right now we are 2-0, but I mean, nothing is decided yet. We still have to do our best. So we will just take the opponents as they come and respect what they bring to the table and try to counter it.
All right, thank you very much. Still very much in the playoff race, SK Gaming. Thanks, Candy Panda. We're going to pause the action for a few minutes, but when we come back, we have 2 more great games, starting with Gambit versus Alternate. Gambit has been trouble for Alternate this whole season. We'll see if they can go 4-0 against them when we return.